paper is very, very important to get the right paper when you start watercoloring. There's professional grade and there's student grade. I highly recommend getting professional grade when you start. A lot of people say, oh, but I'm just learning. I always say you're worth it. Get the good paper, because you're gonna struggle less. When you're learning something new, it's hard enough to be doing something new, but if you're working against your tools, such as your paper and palettes and watercolor brushes, it's always best to get on something that's gonna make your job easier. Arches is 140 is what I use, cold press. Arches has been around, believe it or not. It's French paper. It's been around since 1492. It's tried and true, great paper to use. So that's what I use. A full sheet, you can buy it in full sheets. That is where you're gonna get your best price point. And it comes in 22 by 30. It will be, if you order it online, it comes well protected in a box, and you can buy 5 sheets, 10 sheets, 25 sheets, up to 100 sheets. The more sheets that you buy, the better price point that you get. But a full sheet, 22 by 30, is a big piece of paper. You can paint on both sides when you're learning because it's expensive. So this is a full sheet, 22 by 30. Has a beautiful deckled edge. It's the way they make it. This is cold press. Watercolor paper comes in hot press, cold press, and rough. Rough is very rough texture. Cold press is middle of the road. And hot press is, I use hot press when I paint portraits. It's very smooth and it's a great smooth texture, but learning and everyday painting, I always recommend Arches 140. 140 is the weight of the paper. So there's 300 pounds, there's 90 pounds, but 140 is middle of the road, and that's what I recommend. When you tear your paper, it's taboo to take scissors and cut watercolor paper due to the beautiful deckled edge, and if you ever want to float it. I use a letter opener. Always make sure you have clean hands when you're handling your paper. Clean surface when you're cutting it. And paper is like skin, believe it or not. It is very sensitive, and if you bump it and you're not storing it properly, it can get bruised. And then you'll be painting a sky, and if it got bumped or hit by something hard, you're going to have that image in your painting. So do be careful with your paper. Handle it, carefully so you don't bruise it. So that's a half sheet. It's still a large sheet to be beginning. I often will say cut it one more time and use a quarter sheet is a good size to get started with. So again, I'm scoring it and ripping my paper.